Did you know a horse can mirror and respond to human behavior? That it can hear a human heartbeat within 4 feet and synchronize its own heartbeat with that of its riders? Welcome to TechForce Middle East, a new podcast showcasing trailblazers in the region. In this episode, we're learning about the wonders of equine-assisted services. Joining us today is Yana Shohailo. Yana is a stable manager at Marmoom Initiative, a non-profit equestrian educational center where students learn to ride, drive, and work on the ground with horses. Marmoom Initiative understands that people with mental, physical, and psychological challenges may have different strengths and abilities that are not always catered for in mainstream environments. So, in adaptive riding classes, the nonprofit offers students the chance to develop their physical abilities like posture, muscle, flexibility, but the lessons also have a much bigger effect than that. We're excited to learn more. Yana, welcome to today's show. Later in this episode, Barney Otobayeva from Salesforce will also join us. She'll tell us a little bit about how she's helping non-profit organizations in more than 80 countries use Salesforce to grow their impact on our environment, culture, and society. Yana, Barney, it's great to have you here on the podcast today. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for inviting.
Before we get into the details around Marmoom, let's start with some quick-fire questions. I'd like you to use one word to describe the thing that keeps you motivated and focused every day. We'll start with you, Barney.
Impact. I need to know that what I'm doing brings something to the society, to me, to my organization. That would probably keep me motivated.
Yana?
I would say it's with my job as well, to change the life of the people, to help them.
And what's the most rewarding part of non-profit work for you?
That their money not involved. Because I think when it's different feeling as well, when nobody pushing you, you have to make money, and you're just working for smiles and happy faces.
Barney, you work on the technology side of non-for-profit. What's the most rewarding thing for you?
Probably it's finding solutions to problems, solving problems, I think, because when I work a lot with nonprofits, and when they come to us and they say, oh, we can't do that, and we spend a lot of time on it, and if I can fix it and make their lives easier, I think it's a good reward.
There must be a lot of challenges in working in non-for-profit space. What are some of the challenges that you face on a day-to-day?
For us, the most challenges is that we reach our maximum capacity, and we have a limit now to how many people we can have for the lessons. I guess that is a challenge.
Barney?
Challenge with nonprofits, I think, is the readiness to change. Because not-for-profit organizations are a bit limited when it comes to their resources that they could spend on optimizing technology, etc., which is understandable because they want to spend all of their resources on the impact. But the power of technology, how it could help them to actually diversify and then focus on the impact, that's where the challenge comes, to explain it to them and to make sure that everything works as we intend and as they want as well.
Yana, what's the most inspiring trait you've seen in a human?
I would say patience, especially working with animal and people with special needs as well.
Barney, most inspiring human trait?
Being open-minded, being open for change, for developing, and understanding that pain of staying the same is greater than pain of change.
And what's the most essential quality that a non-for-profit or charitable organization leader needs to have?
I would say to believe in what he is doing.
And Barney?
I would agree here with Yana, to believe in the mission and to drive the impact of the organization is one of the major differentiators.
Barney, because this is your area, I'll stay with you. What's the potential of technology in the non-for-profit space?
I think technology here is mainly to support, because not-for-profit organizations, they are already using up, as Jana said, all of their resources to reach the goals that they have set. But technology can help them to optimize their time and their efforts and make sure that they can extend these resources, human resources that they have, all of the staff and people that are working, volunteers, partners, and the donors as well. And technology can actually bring a lot of transparency and make the life a lot easier. So I think there's a lot of potential there.
Jana, if you were a breed of horse, which horse would you be?
I think I would be Arabian horse because I work recently with a lot of them and they're so different. You have big, small, different character, but they're really small, strong horses.
Do horses have a genuine personality?
Oh, yes, they do. You have like with a human, introvert, extrovert, left brain, right brain as well.
Barney, favorite breed of horse?
Wow, that's a difficult question. I know about Arabian horses just because I was researching, and one of the most beautiful horses are Arabian horses. But I come originally from Uzbekistan, and we do ride a lot of horses. There are more camels, but horses are also one of the very beautiful animals that I would like to learn how to ride, and maybe Jana could help me with that.
Maybe.
Okay, awesome. Let's get down to business. Jana, can you tell us in your own words about Marmoom and this idea of equine-assisted services?
So Marmoom started around 8-9 years ago, and Yahya Yusuf, he's a founder of Marmoom, and he started it. So the reason is his son, because Yahya, he has a son Hamoudi who has a Down syndrome. And when Hamoudi was very small, very young, let's say, he was terrifying of animals. And I think one day they just came to the stable and he was 4 or 5 years old and he just went towards the horse, lowered his head, and he just hugged the horse. The parents was really amazed as well, and they started taking him to the stable to ride the horses. And since then, he didn't stop riding. It really helped him a lot in different areas, like with his core muscle, self-confidence, communication skills, and many, many other things. So the owner, I think he had this idea for a while to open something like that where other people can experience it as well. So Sheikh Mohammed, he gifted land for what we are doing for our stable, and we have some support from King of Bahrain as well, who is our neighbor. And we started eight years ago, and now we have around 100 students weekly coming for classes. We have around 500 students registered with us. So thank you to Yahya for that. He is a big man with a big heart.
That's incredible. And on a personal level, how did you end up at Marmoom?
I've been with the horses for probably 25, 26 years, but I'm not a professional rider. I'm more leisure rider, and I love to train young horses as well. And then I saw the advertising in Facebook, I think. Someone was advertising, and it was best because I could teach the basic level riders. And I met Yahya, we had an interview, and I started. And 8 years I'm there.
What do you find most fulfilling about working at Marmoom?
It's the changes of some of our students' life and families as well, because we have some stories where the students comes and they just even afraid to touch the horse, but then it takes like sometimes weeks, sometimes months, but then they on the horse and they smiling and they enjoying it so much. We have some students with a disability that they cannot do anything else. That they cannot go for any other activities, they cannot go for a swim as well, but then they managing to sit on the horse and for half an hour and they trying to smile as well, the big smile, and I guess it's the most rewarding job.
It's amazing. You said that you have 100 students weekly and then 500 registered students.
Yeah.
How do you cater for such a large number of students?
We're rotating them over the terms. Like we have a season unfortunately, because of the weather in UAE, our season is pretty short. So, but we have 2 terms where we rotate in our students and trying to give as much as possible lessons as we can.
And with this large number of students, a lot of them might have their own like peculiarities or their own differences. How do you sort of individualize the services for them?
So depend on their abilities as well, depend on their, let's say, even weight, because, for example, we have a weight limit for the riding class, for the riding horses, and then those who cannot ride due to the weight limit or because there are some medical conditions where they're not advised to ride, we have driving. We have 2 ponies and small carriage where students learning how to drive, and stable management where they're learning how to take care of the horses as well.
You talked about earlier, which is great to hear, that horses have their own personality. Some are introverted, some are extroverted. How do you match students with horses? Is there a process that you follow?
It's not really based on the character of the horse, but it's more based on the movement of the horses as well. Because every horse, they move differently, and depend on the student. For example, if it's very hyper autistic child, we will put him on a horse that has more bigger movements, for example, because usually it really calms them down as well. If you have some child severely physically disabled that is struggling with the balance, so we would give him a horse which has much more shorter strides, doesn't have much movement when the horse moves, so to help the child. And then maybe in the future, if he develops a better balance as well, sitting position, maybe we will move him to the more difficult horse where the body needs to work more as well.
How many volunteers do you have?
Oh, we have probably over 800 volunteers, individual volunteers registered, and we have around 30 CSR companies that come in to help as well. So we have a very big team of support.
How do you manage such a large volunteer and CSR company base?
Thank you to the Salesforce in Barney. We started to use Salesforce probably 7 years ago. And there was a customized version for the places like ours from America. I think one lady customized it. And then because I was struggling with the Excel sheets. So, and now it really helps to manage everything and keep everything in order.
Barney, you look after the relationship between Salesforce and Marmoom. Can you tell us a little bit about this relationship that you have?
It's a very interesting story because I joined Salesforce around 2 years ago, and I started working right away with nonprofit organizations. And I thought, okay, let me organize some events and get to know the customers in the region. And when I came to Dubai, I met Yana. And Yana was so motivated about Salesforce. She was happy that she's using it, that it's making her life easier. And it really got me thinking, okay, great. We have a customer that's very happy and using Salesforce. How many others could be as happy as well? And that was the moment we started expanding in the region as well. And with Al Marmoom, in the beginning, we were thinking, okay, they are using our not-for-profit offerings, it's great. But then we realized that they were not, and we were very surprised. And we were like, okay, let's get you on the non-profit side.
Did you have any issues in getting Al Marmoom on the non-profit portfolio?
Issues internally, no. I think in the beginning, what was the misunderstanding or maybe misconception is that Yana thought we are a privately held company, we might not be eligible, and that's why we might not get the non-profit licenses, etc. But at Salesforce, what we do is we are committed for the change makers. We want to make sure that we are supporting all the non-profit organizations, doesn't matter if they are privately held or not. And when we started looking into Al Marmoom Initiative case, we realized that they are absolutely not for profits. They don't charge anything, and they are making such a big change in the lives of people in need. And it was just a no-brainer. We just got them on the nonprofit side, and yeah.
I remember that we were applying as a social business because it was like a social impact company. And then we applied, and I think how was 1-2 days, and we got approval for the non-profit. And I was like, I was shocked because she told it might take up to 2-3 weeks because sometimes people wait for it. All stable was celebrating.
That's amazing. Barney, you look after the relationship between Salesforce and other charitable organizations in the regions. What kind of work does Salesforce do with these organizations?
So at Salesforce, as I mentioned before, we are very committed to make sure that we can support each nonprofit organization. And from the very beginning, Salesforce started this so-called Pledge 1%, where we donate 1% of our time, equity, and product to make sure that we can support and give back to the society. And as part of this Pledge 1%, we have a program called Power of Us. And within this program, what we do is we donate licenses to the nonprofit organizations. We offer them discounted pricing to make sure that they can get the technology they need at the best possible pricing, so they optimize their budget and they are not spending the budget that they should be spending on the impact on the technology, but yet getting all the benefits from our products.
And how can non-for-profits use technology to drive a more higher impact?
In many different ways. The first and probably the easiest one is by removing all of the manual tasks, removing all of this boring administrative everyday to-do lists, and just automate it in Salesforce. That will minimize the time spent on these tasks, maximize the efforts that people, instead of spending on the tasks that are just administrative, they could go out there and change the world and go for their goals. I think this is one of the ways. Apart from that, I could make a big list of how technology could help nonprofit organizations. For example, bringing the transparency, showing donors where the donations are going, helping the partners, volunteers, and also, of course, making sure that the experience of your beneficiaries, people you are serving, are improved and at the best that you could get.
Awesome. And Yana, Marmoom obviously helps students with their confidence. It helps them with their independence. Are there any memorable experiences or situations that you'd like to share with us?
Well, you know, if every student to take, we have a story with every student. But for example, one of my favorite story, we have a student, his name Vikram. So he's an autistic child with some physical disabilities, and he's a super shy boy. He started to come to us probably 4-5 years ago, and he always was with his guardian, so he would really shy to go with someone else as well, and he was afraid to touch the horse. And then slowly, I think after probably a month, he started to follow the volunteers to go with them without his guardian. He started to touch horse. I even have somewhere a photo with his favorite horse, Too Much Makeup, where he was like petting her first time. And then we could see that when other students ride, he would get helmet on his own, put it on and sit and wait. So then we started to try to get him on a horse as well, because with people with special needs, you never should push, you just need to wait when they are ready. And I think he got in, and it was the biggest smile that I could see on his face. And now he comes, he has his own helmet as well. He goes, he mounts the horse on his own. He doesn't have any support from the side as well. And yeah, this is one of the story.
Amazing. It sounds like these individual experiences are so important. How do these type of experiences help support our society as a whole? How do you bring what you do in Marmoom to our society?
Look, one of the most major things that we're trying to do as well, it's not only to teach them how to ride the horses, but as well to become independent. Because on daily life, people with special needs, they always have someone there with them, the parents supporting, they have helpers as well, that, you know, they're capable much more, but at the same time, they are learning as well, that if there are some support all the time, well, why would I do it? as well. So when they are getting on a horse and when we see that they are ready and there are nobody helping them, we have a leader who leads the horse, but there are no side walkers to support them or help with the exercises, for example, to hold the reins or steer the horse in and out. They understand that they have to do it and nobody gonna help it as well. Especially if they love riding, they would try to do everything you could, and the way how they pay attention to the instructor as well, the ones that has very short span attention as well. It's amazing.
That's so good. And just going back to the concept around and technology, because I want people listening to this and the other non-for-profits to learn a couple of bits and pieces from what you've done. And it's not necessarily related to Salesforce, but what advice would you give organizations who are slightly intimidated from starting their journey with technology?
I think you just have to start it and do not be afraid. Like Barney mentioned, it saves a lot of time. Because, for example, when we started, I'm a very IT-oriented person. So I was looking for software where we can have everything in one place, because you have software that can manage the riding classes booking. You have software that can help to manage the stable. You can different software that can help with managing volunteers, but you don't have anything in the same place as well. But then when you have it all together, it's talking to each other, communicating, you can pull up any report as well. You can see it saves a lot of time and like it's very efficient as well.
Brilliant. What does the future hold for El Marmoom?
Our future probably to open Al Marmoom Initiative number 2 somewhere in UAE, in other Emirates.
And do you have any other Emirates on the plan?
No, we don't have, but we need to find someone first who would like to fund it, let's say, like this, who would be, who has some experience with people with special need and understand how it's important as well, and has some spare financial part for this.
Well, hopefully someone listening can potentially be your potential investor.
It would be amazing because people need it. Because there are many stables in Dubai where people can go to ride the horses, but for people with special needs, they love it and it helps so much, but the horse is not trained for them, or instructors, they don't have experience how to handle these people with special needs, and at some point it can become dangerous as well. But we really miss some stables like this in UAE.
What advice would you give to someone who is looking to potentially take their career into equine-assisted services?
They can come to us and start with us to volunteer, where they can experience more and see if they would like to proceed it. And then I will be happy to advise some courses as well and give more information about it.
That's awesome. Barney, do you have any closing remarks to our non-for-profit listener base?
I just want to thank Yana for your time, and also each and every not-for-profit organization that's doing what they are doing, giving back to society, and we're always here to support.
Yana, thank you so much for joining us. You are doing something genuinely special.
Thank you for inviting, and thank you so much for your company as well, that supporting such organizations.
And Barney, also thank you for being the facilitator of this relationship. It's great to have you as well.
My pleasure. Thank you.